I'm about 6 months away from making a decision on what I need to do for my endorsement. So I have the option of either choosing liaison psychiatry as a subspecialty, super specialty, or substance misuse. So to make up my mind, I went to a conference, which was the RCPsych Wales Faculty of Addictions Conference in Cardiff, and it was across 2 days. While I record this is at the end of day one. I didn't have a good night's sleep yesterday because I didn't want to miss my train in the morning. So I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the good was that this was a very cheap conference. It was about £35 for the whole conference. That's 2 days for a specialty trainee. If you're a core trainee, it's also £35. For a consultant, it's about £100. It was quite cheap. I believe it was subsidized by the Welsh government. And there was a Minister of Mental Health also speaking. So they were one of the first speakers there when I arrived on day one. So I think the good was that there's government support, it's subsidized. The good that I really liked was the content itself. In particular, there was this presentation on needle exchange programs. The terminology is PWID, which is people who inject drugs. I thought before I came here that that would be a lot of heroin and opioid use, but I was surprised. I'll tell you why. The number one drug injected in some of the areas they tested was not opioids. That was less than half. The number one was performance enhancing drugs, steroids, like anabolic steroids, as well as kind of, aesthetic injections to the face. So that is why people use needles. So an example is kind of these fitness influencers, and you see someone with like an amazing body and these rock hard abs, and you're like, okay, I need to get into that shape fast and I need these followers. And a good way is to use performance enhancing drugs. So that kind of gave me some cool insights into how social media, the modern contemporary use of drugs is not necessarily recreational. It's also kind of an element of the society we live in, the steps people are willing to take for success. The needles are given to prevent kind of harmful use of the drug, and harmful use with injectable drugs, bloodborne viruses like hepatitis C and HIV are some major concerns if you are sharing needles. So to reduce harmful use, some pharmacies, they provide free needles as well as kind of needle disposal boxes. You can get up to 50 at a time. You can get it for yourself as well as your community. Idea there is that to reduce harmful use of the drug. I got some cool insights from it, which I wouldn't have been able to understand in like a textbook or a research paper. Things like what is the symbol outside pharmacies who provide these needles. So it's kind of like a green arrow and a red arrow going the other way. I also understood that there is a lot of political discourse around it, that if you are giving these needle exchange programs, the critique would be that, are you helping people use drugs by providing them these needles? But what I really liked how the speaker put it was that you keep people alive long enough that they have the choice to stop using that drug. And there has been some concrete evidence, which I was shown, both using kind of local data as well as British data, that needle exchange programs trying to help people does create benefits. Like you're more likely to go into like an abstinence program. I'm not sure about the lingo. The big highlight, apart from the needle exchange program, was the use of buprenorphine, and you could see like a collective like glow amongst the people there when that was talked about, especially long acting buprenorphine, which is a medication which helps keep people away from opioid use. So the good, I think, was the content itself, what was learned. The bad was the organizational skills. Initially, when this program was announced, for the first couple of weeks, there was not even a program. And then a program came, and then there were some changes to the program. Information was not great. When I went there, there was no kind of like name tags or other things. There were few networking opportunities. The other kind of thing which I kind of rate conferences on is how much free stuff was there. So there was some, classic keychains and some squeezy balls. And maybe, I think for me, the highlight was the notepad that the hotel provided. The ugly, finally, was just, it kind of goes into the organizational elements, but I think that has more to do with the venue. The acoustics were terrible, and they were terrible on more than one way. So there was some kind of fundraising boozy party going on next door, and you could hear kind of like, I don't know, na 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 na, so like like top 40 hits just like blaring, which I guess is fine in a way, but then the hall acoustics were such that sometimes there were kind of these water heaters for coffee there, and they would start playing, or they would start humming, or there'd be a hum from the ventilation system, and it was so quiet that you could hear that and was drowning out the voice of the speaker. Some of the speakers, I think, did well. For example, the minister, I would assume from a seasoned politician, were were good, and others kind of projected their voice. One of the presenters is very soft spoken, and I think with the mic you have to remember that you have to project your voice, and it kind of increases the signal and it drops out the noise. So you have to kind of speak loudly or be able to project your voice if that's not working. So yeah, it was a mixed bag of presentation skills. I am kind of interested in how you influence groups and how you kind of educate. So it was kind of a mixed bag. Some people were really great, some brought energy and authenticity to it, even some humor. Others are very aware of their surroundings and kind of made into a group. Overall, the camaraderie of the group was quite nice. But for me, I think it was ugly because, in particular, for one of the speakers, for example, there was a service user who was talking about their lived experience of using buprenorphine and psychological services. And I really wanted to hear them speak, but then there was that music blaring in from the other room, and the acoustics were really bad. So that really took me away from it. And respect to the person giving the presentation, that they kind of powered through. And I caught bits of it, but they got, I think, the longest ovation from the speakers there. So yes, like I said, it was respectful, but then that kind of noise and acoustics, it just kind of killed the vibe. It detracted from the presenters, and I knew that they were well prepared and they had some good stuff to tell. So I really hope that they fix that for day 2. Just gauging from day 1, just to summarize, content was good. I learned a lot of kind of unique insights, and I think it's very applicable. And it was good to see a kind of a cheap, less costly conference, and there was support from the government, which was good. The bad was the organization and the lack of networking skills, the lack of freebies. And the ugly was kind of the sound acoustics. I hope they never do that again in this kind of one big conference hall with such bad acoustics. Mic wasn't working sometimes, and it was very distracting. Based on this experience, would I come here again? I would say probably not. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 4. I think it's a good beginner conference. If you have some study leave left and you've got some funds to spend, sure. But if you have to choose between this and another conference, if you have limited availability of your study days, and you're not particularly interested in addictions, then probably not. I wouldn't recommend it. So that was day 1, and I hope you found this useful. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you found this useful, and I'm going to finish day 2 and let you know how it was. Bye bye.